All right, this is quite a historic moment for the journey because we've been on hold for several months with COVID interrupting the plans after a solid 2 years of performing interviews of local people. We pick back up where we left off with Louise Arnold, a familiar name and face of a very long-running family business in Albury-Wodonga. Hello.
Hello, and thank you so much for having me, Kev.
Now, this isn't the first time we've chatted because over the years I've helped you market your business, but let's go for anybody who's finding out about Louise Arnold for the first time. Let's talk a little bit about you as you look nervously back at me. Let's talk a little bit about you, your heritage to the area. Obviously, we know the family name, we know the business, but let's talk about your particular instance, where you went to school, things like that.
Well, I'm born and bred at Mercy Hospital back, can I say, 50 years ago this year.
Happy birthday.
Had a special birthday during lockdown. Went to Albury High and graduated, and family of, I have 3 brothers and sisters, and mum and dad are locals as well. Then I went off to, after year 12, I decided that I won't work at the family business because I'd been working there sort of on and off since I was sort of 14 or 15. I thought, okay, I'll go to Charles Sturt Uni in Wagga and I'll get an arts degree and in TV and theatre. And that was probably the best thing I ever did. I was very naive, very green, leaving home, but I was essentially only an hour and a half up the road. So I was gaining my independence, but I could still run home to mum and dad when I needed to. And as I said, it was the best thing I could have done. Met a lot of people, had a wild time at uni as you do. Lived on college for 3 years at Wagga Ag College, which was a whole nother story. But what it taught me was that theatre work was something I was really interested in doing and performing because I've sort of been doing that on and off all my life. But now I've utilised that later down the track in my work. So I sort of finished that 3 years later with a degree in my pocket and thought, well, now what? And Dad said, we're about to turn 100. The business is about to turn 100. Could you just come back and maybe just write the history? And now that I'm a parent, I know what he was doing. I just said, I'll just come back for a month or something. 30-odd years later, I'm still there. So, as a parent, he was sort of trying to get me back into the business because he knew I could potentially offer the business something. And, of course, I had nothing else to do. I needed to make money. So came back, and so I had my 3 years in Wagga and then essentially, of course, been in Albury-Wodonga ever since and love it. No plans to leave at this stage. The family's held me here and the business has held me here. And
it sounds like maybe Dad was very clever in going, I've got a daughter here who presents well and has got all the credibility now of the theatre and can now help sell what we're doing, the fruit and veg.
Well, I did write that little history at the time, and I also wrote a letter to my father for employment. And I still have that letter, handwritten. Dear Mr. Arnold, I'm seeking employment. I've got an arts degree. I'll peel potatoes. I'll push trolleys. Whatever you need me to do to be the Arnolds girl. And I can't believe that I read that letter now, and 25 years later, after being Louise from Arnolds, I was writing my future. So it's quite incredible that I did that. And I gave it to him and he laughed and he kept that letter and I've still got it, which is great. But I don't really know why I did that. It was sort of more of a joke. And by the way, thanks for getting me through uni, Dad. Mum and Dad, that was awesome. Well, I had such a great time. So I was writing my future.
Bit creepy, but we'll talk some more about that soon. Hobbies for Louise Arnold. So we do know you're passionate about your fruit and veg. We hear it regularly. We know you are you're the Arnold's girl. What do you do in your downtime? Like, do you have any interesting hobbies? Or?
Well, I've never been sporty. My father did every known sport known to man, and I'm not. Tennis has been my thing. Sort of a bit of a hit and giggle on a Tuesday with the ladies. Love that. I just love being with friends and family. As I've gotten older, I love food. I love travelling. I like to keep it sort of local within Australia, particularly. Not that interested in sort of running overseas and doing all that sort of stuff. Did a little bit of that in my early 20s, and that was sort of enough. enough. I like to stay close, love my family. And so hobbies, I'm pretty basic and pretty boring. What you see is what you get, I guess.
Lots of time in the kitchen.
Love cooking.
Yeah.
When I left home, I could never cook. I couldn't do anything. So I go off to uni and college and live there and, oh gosh, typical, 2-minute noodles, that sort of thing, hot chips. And then working and coming into Arnolds in my early 20s, I realised that we've got to sort of get some recipes out to the customers. So for a very short time, I think I was a vegetarian without realising, because I thought, they only want vegetarian recipes. Cooking, I've gotten much better because meeting my husband, he was the first boyfriend I ever had that could cook, because I thought men can't cook because my father couldn't cook. So meeting Craig, and he cooked for me on our very first date, I just thought, oh my God, this guy's a keeper and he can cook and cook really well.
What did he cook? Do you remember what it was?
Yes, he cooked garlic prawns. He arrived at my little unit in Wise Street. He was living with his parents in Wodonga, and his mum had given him a rose between his teeth. Knocked on the door. He had the ingredients for the garlic prawns, and of course it's a super simple dish, honestly. But I just thought, this is the best thing in the world. And I think we, drank a cask of wine, and that was essentially our first date.
And the rest is history.
Yeah, and he proposed 7 months later.
Yeah, couple of children.
2 kids, Claudia and Tom. Claudia's just been in lockdown in Melbourne, so she's just come home this weekend, which is awesome. She's 22, and Tom's about to turn 21.
Yeah, great. And let's talk about lockdown. And I know you're one of many businesses there at Arnold's, but and you're clearly the whole. Yes, we commute every day across a river, but really we're the one community. Let's talk about this being such a significant return to the journey. How's it been on you, your family, your business, your friends? What's your observation of the whole situation?
Well, first of all, we were so grateful that we're an essential service. So we had to immediately let our customers know that we are open. So back in March, we will stay open. Our hours are exactly the same. We've never closed. This is also our second pandemic. Spanish flu back in 1919. So Arnold's, this is our second time we've done it all. Every day was different. Every week the goalposts changed. We had to adapt. I remember thinking, oh my God, how do we get through this week? And next week, I don't even know what next week is going to be like. And I like to, have a little bit of control and know what's going on. So that was really difficult. And, I was so grateful for our staff, grateful that we didn't have to put anyone off. In fact, we put on 12 staff in about an hour on one particular day in mid to late March, when the panic buying, when everything was in lockdown, when elderly people were told not to leave their home, and our Arnold's online home delivery just went like that. And it happened in a day like that. And we were completely unprepared. In fact, it was like Christmas, but we planned for Christmas months in advance. We've got the rosters organised. We buy the product. We know, we buy extra produce. But it happened so quickly that we weren't prepared, but we got ourselves organised real quick. So to be able to put staff on, to be able to, our staff to keep their jobs, we moved them around. They tried different tasks. Some of our staff shone in different areas that we didn't even know of. And all our family, the Arnold family, all live in Albury. So owning a business in Wodonga is fine. You've got a 12-minute commute as normal. But then when they closed the borders, that was super hard. Getting our staff over the border if they needed to work was very, very difficult. We were just in shock that happened, that the borders were closed. And then we lost all our New South Wales customers. So that's been really difficult for us and a lot of, obviously, Wodonga businesses. And now with the border opening, we're so excited. I felt like, oh my God, the baby's arrived. And so the excitement was just so great for me anyway, for last Monday. But now we've still got to educate that we still need to wear a mask. So there's been all this education, and that's my job in the business, is to promote, to educate, to communicate to our customers that this is what you need to do. If you're shopping inside a store in Victoria, you need to wear a mask. So that's been a little bit of a hiccup the last week and a half.
And have they come back though?
Yes.
Has it simply been the border
Yes.
closure that's prevented that?
Yes, it's been like that again,
Yeah.
as I say. And Arnolds, previously they were using our home delivery service, which we've had going for 17 years, which has just, saved us really during COVID, and saved the area, because we deliver to a huge part of the region, 70 suburbs and towns. So they were already getting Arnolds. They love us. They know our reputation, know our product. Then they thought, no, but I'm desperate to get over to Arnolds. I miss shopping at Arnolds.
Yeah. And so let's talk about that online presence, because I know I observed during the pandemic that you were setting records with how many boxes were getting shipped out each day. You talked about a moment ago about putting extra staff on and frantically having to try to ramp up. Was your online capacity strong enough for what we experienced? Because we saw a lot of people that had sort of dabbled in online as part of their business. Their systems failed them with the overwhelming situation. But how did you fare?
Perfectly fine. As I said, 17 years ago, we started Arnolds Online, which was my father's idea a couple of years before that. So once again, very grateful that we had all that set up. And then a couple of the reasons he decided, let's do this Arnolds Online home delivery thing, he couldn't even turn a computer on, was let's get it established. Let's get the Arnolds Online established in this area before the Coles and Woolies come and do it in Albury Wodonga. So we own it. And so we did. And then Coles and Woolies came regionally years and years later. And then the big chains let everyone down back in March. They stopped all their home delivery, so that was great for us. So that just proved to the local area that Arnold's has got your back and always been here. So yeah, our website, no crashing, nothing like that. We did have to add a whole logistics team. So what we would normally do deliveries in a week, we were doing in a day. So, we had the vehicles, we had the product, we had the staff, the extra staff as well, and we knew what we were doing because we've been doing it for 17 years, but we had to add a logistics team. So, you're a driver and you're going to Corowa and Howlong and Rutherglen. You might normally only, have about 20 drops, but you've got 50, for instance. And you're going to all these houses. We also deliver to all the restaurants and cafes as well, and wineries and pubs. But we know where they are. But these houses, I don't know. I've never been to Joe Blow's house. So we had to set up a whole sort of software system, so the drivers knew where they were going.
All on the fly, like everybody.
All on the fly, absolutely.
And you mentioned it's Arnold's second pandemic. Right, so it's your second pandemic. Was any of the first pandemic documented? Was there a how-to book?
No, not at all. Look, Arnold's has been through it all, 128 years, depressions, world wars. It's incredible when you look at the business's history, and we're lucky as well because we do have a family history book that's about this thick, and we also have an Arnold's history book that I wrote with Howard Jones, and so I refer back to that a lot, particularly with the next generation, my kids and nieces and nephews, who really history is not such a focus for them. Whereas I'm in the middle. I'm like, I love all the history, and love all the new technology as well. So,
and you're right. It's one of those things that history's sort of not as trendy or as appealing as it used to be. Now it's just all about future. We're encouraged so much to live the now and live the future. What's something that took you by surprise during the whole pandemic? Maybe something you've learnt about your friends, family, or community, even.
Community. I love our customers, and because I don't actually work in the shop as such, so I'm not face to face with the customers. My job at Arnold's has always been in the office, I suppose, and now it's behind a social media platform. So getting little notes from the customers on the online orders just melted our hearts. So it really showed me that people needed help, but there were a lot of scared people out there, a lot of scared people like yourself who have elderly parents who were told, if you're over 70, do not leave your house. So we had customers ringing us saying, oh, mum and dad live in Barranduda and they can't leave the house. Can you help? And I said, of course we can help. That's what we can do. So I was surprised how scared people were, because we were in our little bubble at work, I suppose, every day doing the same thing. And but I learnt that the customers, we're like our family. So we've gained so many new customers because of COVID that, you know, I write them little notes. I think your mum and dad got an order and I recognise their name, and, you know, that just makes my little heart sing. I think we're here to serve the people of Albury-Wodonga, and, you know, we've continued to do so.
Yeah. What have you done with your personal values, or even perhaps if you want to talk on business as well, either way, how have you shifted this year in terms of what you prioritise? Go with you first. Yeah.
Well, having my daughter in Melbourne was frankly terrifying. Very independent, you know, she's graduated from uni and she's working full time, but, you know, losing that freedom of being able to see her if I needed to was very difficult. So, oh gosh, this year's been like no other. I've looked at my health as well, you know, wanting to sort of be a little bit stronger and heading towards a sort of turning 50, which, you know, wasn't much fanfare. So I've looked at my health and I've learnt that getting healthier can make you happier and, you know, be more positive, and you can be a better mum, a better wife, a better worker, because my goodness, I've never worked this hard this year, truly. It's been like 50 Christmases in one during that panic buying, the lockdown, but it's been awesome.
So we sit here in the lead up to Christmas again,
yeah.
Which you've already been through.
Christmas will be a snack.
How is it looking? Like, do you think it's going to be normal like all years, or as we're seeing borders open, families reunite, perhaps people travelling out to our region? What are you seeing in your particular
Well, at
trends?
Christmas time, we always see a lot of returned people. I see a lot of old school friends coming into Arnolds doing their shopping. So you do see a lot of strange faces, you know, people that aren't from the area at Christmas time. But then you see all the ones coming back, which I love. I think Christmas is going to be the best one we've had, because we weren't quite sure what sort we were going to get. During the last few months, in the typical Arnold fashion, we've decided to make some changes and we've renovated our store, because that's what we do. And you know what? We can, because we own our business. We're not legislated by a corporate head office somewhere in the city. So, and we've created a different look in store at Arnold's. I don't know if you've seen it, but you must come and have a look now that you have your big Wodonga connection. And so I think a lot of people want to come and see that. What has Arnold's done? Wow, loved Arnold's before. I haven't been for 6 months. But wow, how great do you guys look? Because, you know, we're always giving back to the customer. Store not big enough? Okay, let's make it bigger. Not enough trolleys? Let's get more trolleys. Want more range? We'll get more range. So,
and we are all rediscovering the world, aren't we?
Yeah.
And it's through a different set of eyes. Would you agree with that?
Definitely. Yeah. Definitely. I'm looking at, you know, through my elderly mother's eyes. She's had a rough year with health and being in lockdown. You know, looking through my daughter in Melbourne's eyes, looking from a business owner. So it's been a year that I wouldn't like to do again, but at the same time, I'm glad that I've learnt what I've learnt and have seen what I've seen.
Changing values and changing, you know, priorities. Is there anything that you've let go of and you've gone, I don't really need that in my life anymore, and it's because of COVID that it's gone? For me, that's sport. I as much as you need to be active and healthy, I've realised how much time I've put into other things, and then I've gone, without having that as a thing that I've always done just because it's what you do, change of habit, and suddenly you go, oh, look at all the things I can do in my spare time.
Well, I don't window shop like I used to. And I've jumped on the online shopping bandwagon as well. Yeah. But, you know, local, honestly, just wanting to, you know, continue supporting local businesses, and, you know, that's just become super important. And that's what I do for the business. I push come and shop with us because we're local, but let's also give back to all these local businesses here too.
How's your skills putting in a calendar or a diary event at the moment. Did you have a moment there, like many of us, where you weren't used to having appointments? You didn't really have to be accountable to time.
Yeah, yeah.
You obviously had your hard work to do in terms of getting your team and upskilling and introducing new processes, which would keep you busy in terms of work.
Well,
but
we have been busy. It's sort of the first lockdown. Our business life didn't change. It just got a hell of a lot busier when we had friends that had, lost work or lost hours. But our life pretty much stayed the same. So, yeah, less appointments, but no holidays. Yeah. I miss that. I just miss the freedom of, now that we can, but feeling a bit hesitant as well at the same time.
It's a different feeling, isn't it?
It is. I think, I think I'll just stay here. I'll just stay in the area, or, I'll definitely, want to see more of Australia for sure.
Who do you most admire? Who's somebody that you admire?
My father comes to mind, probably because, I've always, Arnolds was his life, his father's life, the whole family's life, really. So Arnolds has always been part of my life, even as a young child. So I've always admired his work ethic, get up and go. He worked till the day he got sick in his early 70s and would have kept going as well. I admire the family that he built and the business as well, and the home life. Had a really great home life as a child, living in a great solid family, which is awesome. So I admire him, and during this year we've all reflected, looking back at what he did for the business, taking the business from Albury to Wodonga, which was frowned upon at the time. He didn't intentionally want to move the business interstate when all his cousins and fathers and uncles retired, and he was only my age. He was 51, so very young, and he thought, well, I don't need to retire. I can take this business on. And it was just found just the perfect site in Osborne Street in Wodonga. So he made that move. So it was very, very gutsy and huge at the time. So my brother Roger was only 18. So he had Roger's support, but Roger was pretty young. And I was only, I was very young. So I've admired him to do that. He set that up, kept that going. He opened our retail store. He had the idea to do that, and he had the idea for the online. We just sort of put that into practice. So I've admired his vision. He's a visionary for sure.
Quotes. Are you one for quotes? Do you like...
If I can remember them. It's like a joke. I'd love to be able to remember jokes because I love jokes. Something that Dad used to say, you never learn anything with your mouth open. And I'd be like, what? Do I really? What do you mean? Because I'm a talker, Kev.
Yeah.
All my teachers at Albury High, Louise is such a lovely girl because she just stopped talking. So, I was disruptive at school, and I was an average student. So when Dad said that, he wasn't talking about me, but he was talking about in general, stop and listen and learn about people. And I think as I've gotten older, definitely, I've learned that there's so much to learn. And if you just sort of, close your mouth and just listen to what other people have to say, you learn so much and observe.
What's your biggest achievement in life so far?
Oh, my kids.
Yeah. I think every mum will say that.
Yeah, I think they do. Yeah. Arnold's online as well. I feel I sort of grabbed hold of that myself about 7 or 8 years ago because I could sort of see that the website needed zhuzhing and we needed to sort of push it towards the future. And there was talk that do we really need it in the business? And no way, we are keeping this home delivery online. There'll be a riot. At that time, we had a good solid base of customer, but I could see where home delivery was heading, but I could never foreseen what we've seen this year with the expansion and the meteoric rise of home deliveries. So I feel that's a really big achievement for me. And Louise from Arnolds, who's like a little character of mine, and a lot of people don't know that I studied acting, and so that's sort of my character. She, Louise from Arnolds, hi, it's Louise, has been something that I never thought would continue 25 years later. It will keep going, but I've created that, and that's like my little persona, and I get a bit of a kick when people recognise me and stuff like that. Because I think ultimately, back when I was 22, I thought, I do want to be famous. I think that's where I want to head. Oh, yeah, I'd love to be on Home and Away. In fact, I wanted to be Rue's baby. I was going to come back as Rue's baby, but now Georgie Parker's got that, so that's was never going to work. But so I think deep down I always wanted to be famous. So this is my version of that. As my daughter says, when I get recognised down the street, she gets terribly embarrassed, even at her age now. And I'd say, oh, my God, I'm famous, Claudia. I'm famous. She says, no, Mum, you're just locally known. That's all. You're just locally known.
Nothing like the kids to pull on the handbrake. And so let's talk about that some more, as in, Louise Arnold, that the character that's well sold your business for a long time, 25 years, I think you mentioned. Has that got its downsides?
Yes.
In terms of, how do you feel when you just want to duck out of the shops in tracksuit pants or something like that? Do you do it anyway?
Oh, I do it. Masks help, can I tell you? It's funny. I shop at Arnolds, of course, but the amount of people that see me, and I finish my shift and I'll do my shopping, or sometimes I go over on the weekends, and customers will be looking and go, what? You shop here? And I find that hilarious. Like, well, of course, where else am I going to shop? But I think they think, oh, why doesn't she just go out to the cool room and just grab what she, and I go through the registers, I want the full experience. Give it all to me.
Yeah.
It is sort of funny getting recognised, but deep down, I really love it because everyone is so nice. I've never had anything negative face to face. There can be some very small negatives in the past in regards to Louise from Arnolds. When I've been on radio, we're sick of hearing her. We'll turn it off. For God's sake. But all in all, going on holidays because I do all the voiceovers for the business and the radio and TV ads, and we advertise every single week, all year. So I'll go on holidays and I have to find a recording studio. If I was smart, I'd set myself up and have it all with me in a little briefcase, like most people do these days. Some people do, voiceover artists do. So that's why we always tend to go to one location, and because I know people up there in Noosa and Sunshine Coast, and so having had such a big radio background, and my husband was in radio, so there's just been, instances where we can just pop into a studio and I can just voice and then I'll just finish my holiday. But I'm not really having a full holiday. So if I was smart, I would have gone overseas or go on a cruise ship where there's no internet, or go to an island, a remote island, so I can't, no one can find me.
Yeah. You mentioned that you plan to stay here in Albury-Wodonga. You love it. Multiple generation family in town. Are you Louise Arnold, like the character of? Is that you until you're well beyond 50?
Can she age? Can Heights Louise be 70? I don't know. I'm not quite sure about that. See, my Ben and Maddie, the fifth generation, my brother's kids, I'd say they'll still want me at 70, but I don't know whether she can age. But
has Maddie gone to drama training? Innocently, naively, to be roped back in as the face of Arnold's?
Actually, I'd say Ben. He's I've taught him a few things. He's happily spoken on on TV news stories and things like that. But no, but I reckon I could still do it. See, can't you see it? I'll be at home with the grandkids and they'll just ring me and say, quick, or you'll ring me, Kevin, because you'll still be doing radio and I'll be able to do an interview with you.
I love it. Toughest decision you've had to make in life? Any tough decisions? How do you go with them? Do they make you scared? Do they make you worried?
Oh, yeah.
Being a positive person, I'd imagine
positive.
when things get tough.
I can be a bit indecisive, so I can't really sometimes. And that's where I look, you look to your partner. Craig's awesome like that. He's great, rock for me. And essentially, he got Louise from Arnold's going. idea. So I'd be nothing without my husband. Which is,
All blokes need to hear that.
Tough decisions. Oh, the tough decision I remember when I left high school was, do I have the gap year? Because gap years back in the 80s were starting to become a bit of a thing. And I thought that sounded really great. Or do I go to this university? I'd been given this place in Wagga. Oh, Wagga. All my girlfriends were going to Sydney and Melbourne. I thought, oh, God, it's a bit sad, Louise heading off to Wagga. So the best decision, it was a tough decision to make. You know, do I gap year at Arnolds and make money, or do I go to uni in Wagga? And it was Dad that said to me, he never got a choice, because his father said, because he was the only son, you have to come and work at Arnolds. You've got no choice. Dad wanted to be a teacher, a racing car driver. You know, he had his own dreams. So Dad said, you've got to go. And that was the best decision I made. Because regardless of whether I came back to Arnold's, and I didn't know I would at the time. So tough decision for the first few weeks, but Dad helped me make it.
We've sort of touched on the accidental study. You know, the once you started being the face of Arnold's, did you go, this is it? This is what I've done that study for. This is what I've done the experience for, and I'm in a family business? Or were you still chasing those bright lights of home and away?
No. They said to us when we finished the third year, the last week in third year, they said to us, oh, by the way, only 10% of actors have work. And I thought, what? Just done 3 years of theatre and TV. Now you're telling us this? And he said to us, just keep your finger in the pie. Ah, okay. So when I came back to Albury, I did a lot of theatre here with not another theatre company in Wodonga. I was just happy to be here, I think, locally, and I did my version of that here, as I said, doing the theatre. And but the Louise from Arnold's thing, I just thought it was just something that we do with 2AY for 6 months. We do an advertising package for 6 months, and that'd be the end of it. But she was sort of popular.
And it worked.
Well, people wanted to know what's in season. Oh, is that what you do with, banana skins? You can polish your shoes with the banana skin, stuff like that. Yeah. So, that was my bright lights. Albury Wodonga's my bright lights.
And we're happy to have you here.
Don't
you worry. Hindsight, it's always 20/20, crystal clear. I mean, your story you've told so far, garlic prawns, falling in love, having a couple of kids, being the face of your family business, that all sounds like, a dream. But what advice would you give to a younger you?
Oh, I've never been asked this question. Don't give a hoot of what everyone else thinks of you, I think. A lot of people know me as being quite positive, but there's always two sides to most people. There's always that, oh, I'm not sure. What do you think? Should I do that? So I'd say to that younger self, get out there and have a crack. You've got a good solid base behind you and great support, family and friends. Get out there and do it and look for more opportunities, because they're out there. I'm still looking for opportunities now.
Is there something you've told your kids? Because I think that next generation, social media, all those things,
yes.
the confidence and the self-doubt, I guess.
Well, I say to the kids, you just never know. And it's something about being a country kid, being from the country. I don't know, we're just, we just get it. We're not soft. We've got sort of, we get in there and have a go. So, my kids have got really great work ethic, and I think that's come from us, and my husband and I have taught them that. So I've taught them, you just never know who can be there for you in the future, and, be nice to everyone as well, because they might end up helping you in the future. And, just mention that, you're from Albury. Everyone knows someone from Albury Wodonga, always. I can go on holidays. You always know someone from Albury, or there's a connection. So, yeah, I tell my kids, keep an eye out, and, you don't learn anything with your mouth open.
That's a great one. I love it. Oldie but a goodie, if you're able to invite 3 people to a dinner party, alive or dead, who would you have sitting there? Now, I'm going to guess you're going to say Dad, because I know you've said you admire Dad.
I was going to say Dad, but I'll take it further, is J.G. Arnold, who was my great-grandfather who started the business, because my dad didn't even know him. It's because he died the year my dad was born. So I'm just fascinated with this fella that started this business, and he had 12 kids,
Work ethic.
Yeah, absolutely.
Reason to work.
Yes. Someone who has lots of children, absolutely. So definitely J.G. Arnold. alive or dead. Oh, this is a good question, but a hard one. I'd have to be someone's celebrity.
Okay, celebrity crush.
Yeah.
I know you love.
Oh,
I know you love
but
gossip.
there's so many people that I love. I don't know. It's stupidly coming to mind is Hugh Jackman, but only because he's a triple threat. He's done the theatre like I've done. I can't sing and dance. But maybe he could teach me. Yeah, and I'm going to say my husband, which sounds really soppy because he's a really great dinner party fun.
Good. I like it. Sweet or savoury? You can do both in your line of work, so
Yeah, absolutely. I think I'll go sweet, but I'm not a really, really sugar sweet. You give me a banana or a carrot cake above a chocolate cake any day, much happier. Yeah, I'm not an icing fan either. So I'll go sweet. And people that like the savoury, like their cheese and bickies with their wine. I'm not a real cheese and bickies person.
just the wine.
Okay.
And cake.
Yeah.
I love it. What are your plans this weekend?
Oh, this weekend. What is happening this weekend? Well, friends, daughters are coming home and we're reuniting, which is beautiful. After lockdown, Melbourne lockdown, Sydney distance away. So seeing that the next generation catching up, which has just been awesome because we've just missed that freedom so much. And the weather will be great. Craig and I love to entertain. We've built an entertainer's house. So there'll be a lot of laughing, a lot of music, a lot of really good food. I will probably Instagram the food, and that's what my kids hate so much because before we eat, I have to say, stop, you can't eat anything. I take a photo because I've got to put it on Arnold's Instagram, and that's become my thing, particularly this year because we still need to communicate with the customer.
Yeah, and it'd be remiss of me not to ask, your signature dish, Louise Arnold.
Mine?
What is it what's your go-to? I know you're good at sharing lots of different recipes, but what's one you just can't walk past? Where you just like, that is easy or it's wholesome
it's
or
all
whatever
easy
it is?
because I'm easy peasy. I immediately come because I think of summer and I am doing it today for my mum. Is corn salad. But you've got to char the corn. You can do it on the barbie or just on the stovetop. Charred corn salad. And, avocado. You can add mint, some feta, some capsicum, some shallots. And it's just so easy. And it's great even the next day from the fridge. It's great as leftovers. Having mum for lunch today, which is absolutely awesome because she's been in lockdown in aged care. So she's allowed to come out and have lunch at my house today. So it's a bit of a special day.
Well, I really do appreciate you putting some time aside for us, Louise Arnold, and sorry it's taken this long to get to you. I know we're meant to do this back in March. It's been an extremely interesting year, and who knows what we try to do these once a month, so who knows what the coming months will throw in.
You might want to have me back.
Or,
that would be easy.
Well,
can I just say, Kev, you got me behind a microphone doing my first radio gig. You slid into my DMs, that was a thing 10 years ago, and you contacted me and said, my name's Kev Poulton and I would like you to help me co-host a radio show.
A fill-in breakfast radio show.
Fill-in, and you were a fill-in. I was a fill-in, and I didn't know you, and I knew of you, I think. And you were young and naive in a nice way.
Yeah.
And I remember that, and I had to get up at 4:30, and the first day I put full face on, and I thought, I don't need makeup. And we did that for a week, and it was absolutely awesome. So I thank you for letting me do that, because I think I've always wanted to try what that would be like, because I do a lot of voiceovers in a voice booth, but doing it, and you were awesome. Thank you.
It turns out that I wanted to know what it felt like as well. Here I am now. Louise Arnold, it's been a pleasure to hear a bit about your journey. I know there's so much more. There's a couple of history books there, family and business-wise, that people can no doubt track you down through the business to find out more about, or get a copy of, or at least read. And thank you so much once again.
Thank you.